smooth, stable male podcast. For over half a century, archaeologists were certain of one thing. The Clovis people were the first, masters of the land, pioneers of an entire continent. Their distinctive spear points marked the dawn of human history in the Americas. But what if the greatest mystery about the Clovis isn't how they arrived, but how, in the blink of an eye, they simply vanished? Hello everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're delving into one of the most profound and unsettling enigmas of human history, the sudden and mysterious disappearance of the Clovis people. By the end of this journey, your understanding of early American prehistory, and perhaps even the surprising fragility of civilization itself, will be irrevocably changed. If you're as captivated by these ancient, unresolved puzzles as I am, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Join our expedition into the forgotten corners of the past so you don't miss a single discovery. All right, settle in, let's peel back the layers of dust and time and begin our search for the lost Clovis. And so we turn our gaze from the grand, overarching mystery to the very heart of the Clovis phenomenon itself. Imagine, if you will, a vast, untamed continent just emerging from the grip of the last ice age. Ice sheets are retreating, vast plains are coming to life, and teeming herds of enormous animals roam freely. Into this primordial landscape steps a new kind of human, one defined by an astonishing technological innovation, the Clovis point. These aren't just any spear points. The Clovis point is instantly recognizable, exquisitely crafted, long and sharp, with a distinctive flute or channel removed from the base on both sides. This flute allowed the point to be securely hafted onto a wooden shaft, creating a formidable weapon capable of penetrating the thick hides of the largest beasts. It was a tool of precision and power, a testament to ingenious adaptation. From roughly 13,000 to 12,700 years ago, for a fleeting period in geological time, these signature points and the culture they represent dominated the North American landscape. Their spread was truly breathtaking. Evidence of Clovis presence has been unearthed from the sun-baked deserts of the American Southwest to the forested plains of the East, from the chilly reaches of Canada to the warm and humid air of Central America. This rapid expansion, this continent-wide signature, led archaeologists for decades to believe that the Clovis people were unequivocally the first Americans. They appeared seemingly fully formed and swiftly populated an entire landmass. Their lifestyle was one of remarkable mobility and resourcefulness. The Clovis were master hunters, nomadic people who followed the rhythm of the seasons and, crucially, the movements of their colossal prey. Picture them, small bands, eyes keenly scanning the horizon, patiently tracking herds of immense mammoths and mastodons, their very survival intertwined with these magnificent creatures. They also hunted bison, camels, horses, and various smaller game, utilizing every part of the animals they brought down for food, clothing, and tools. Their campsites, though temporary, speak of organized communal living, of knowledge passed down through generations, and an intimate understanding of the bountiful, yet unforgiving world around them. The Clovis era truly represented a zenith of Paleo-Indian adaptation, a time when humans thrived in a challenging, ever-changing environment. But it was this very specialization, this reliance on a specific way of life, that would become a central thread in the mystery of their swift departure. And here, dear listener, is where our story takes a particularly intriguing turn. The Clovis culture, so vibrant and widespread, didn't simply fade away gradually over centuries. It appears to have ceased to exist, or at least dramatically transformed, in what feels like the blink of an eye. And crucially, this abrupt vanishing act coincides with one of the most significant and mysterious ecological shifts in recent Earth history, the Younger Dryas period. Imagine the world, still shivering from the last glacial maximum, slowly beginning to warm, Ice sheets are melting, sea levels are rising, and new forests are burgeoning. Then, suddenly, dramatically, the planet plunges back into near-glacial conditions. This was the Younger Dryas, a cold snap that gripped the northern hemisphere, particularly North America, for over 1,000 years, beginning precisely around 12,900 years ago and ending just as abruptly around 11,700 years ago. Now consider what else vanishes with the Clovis culture at the onset of this cold snap. Almost every single large mammal species across North America. The mighty woolly mammoths, the towering mastodons, the formidable saber-toothed cats, the colossal short-faced bears, dire wolves, ground sloths, and even the native North American camels and horses, all gone. A staggering 35 genera of large mammals, creatures that had roamed the continent for millions of years, vanished forever from the fossil record in a relatively brief geological instant.
The synchronicity is chilling, isn't it? The dominant human culture, the colossal animals they hunted, and a sudden, dramatic shift in global climate, all seemingly disappearing or changing their trajectory at the same moment in time. This is not mere coincidence. It is a profound puzzle that has captivated archaeologists, paleontologists, and climate scientists for decades. What force or combination of forces could have wrought such widespread devastation, extinguishing an entire way of life and an entire megafaunal ecosystem in such a relatively short span? This is the core of the Clovis enigma, a question that demands exploration. For many years, the primary theories attempting to explain this staggering coincidence revolved around two powerful forces: the sudden, dramatic shift in climate we just discussed, and the potentially devastating impact of human predation. Let's delve into each. First, the climate. The Younger Dryas event was not a gentle cooling. It was a rapid, intense plunge back into Ice Age conditions. Scientists believe a massive influx of fresh meltwater from the retreating North American ice sheets, possibly from a collapsing glacial lake, poured into the North Atlantic. This sudden dilution of the salt water disrupted the crucial Atlantic meridional overturning circulation, often called the ocean conveyor belt, which carries warm water northwards. When this conveyor slowed or stopped, the northern hemisphere, especially North America, experienced a dramatic drop in temperature, increased aridity, and shifts in prevailing winds. Imagine the impact on the landscape. Lush grassland would have withered, replaced by colder, drier, less productive ecosystems. Forests would have receded, and water sources would have frozen or diminished. For the megafauna, adapted to a specific range of conditions and accustomed to abundant forage, this climatic whiplash would have been catastrophic. Their food sources would have dwindled, their migration routes altered or blocked, and their reproductive cycles stressed. They would have been pushed to their ecological limits, vulnerable and weakened. Now, let's consider the second major theory, the overkill hypothesis. Championed initially by paleontologist Paul Martin, this theory suggests that the Clovis peoples themselves as supremely effective hunters were the primary cause of the megafaunal extinction. The argument goes like this. As Clovis hunters rapidly spread across the continent, they encountered prey that had no prior experience with human predators. These animals, lacking evolved defense mechanisms against human hunting strategies, were easy targets. In this blitzkrieg model, human populations, though perhaps relatively small, could have systematically hunted large, slow-reproducing megafauna to extinction. The evidence for overkill is compelling in some ways. The timing of human arrival in North America broadly aligns with the extinction event. Furthermore, in other parts of the world, like Australia and the Pacific Islands, human arrival is strongly correlated with megafaunal extinctions. However, the counterarguments are equally strong. Could relatively small bands of humans, even with their advanced tools, truly decimate such vast populations across an entire continent?
Many argue that human populations at the time were simply too sparse to have had such a widespread impact. Moreover, the sheer scale of the extinction, encompassing such a diverse array of species, often points to a broader environmental catastrophe. Most modern scientists agree that it was likely not a single factor, but a complex interplay of both climate change and human predation. The Younger Dryas would have weakened the megafauna, making them more susceptible to hunting pressure. The combination of environmental stress and persistent predation could have delivered the final blow to an already vulnerable ecosystem. But was there something else, something even more dramatic that could have tipped the scales? Just when we thought the Younger Dryas and overkill theories provided a reasonably complete picture, a new, much more dramatic hypothesis emerged in the mid-2000s. The Younger Dryas impact hypothesis, often colloquially known as the comet theory. This controversial theory proposes that a cometary impact, or a series of airbursts over North America around 12,900 years ago, triggered the Younger Dryas cold snap and contributed directly to the megafaunal extinctions and the decline of the Clovis culture. Proponents point to a layer of geological evidence known as the Younger Dryas boundary layer, found at multiple archaeological sites across North America and beyond. This layer contains unusual materials: microscopic diamonds, magnetic microspherules, platinum spikes, and elevated levels of iridium and charcoal. These materials are often associated with cosmic impacts or intense wildfires. The theory suggests the impact would have caused widespread devastation, including massive wildfires, atmospheric dust that blocked sunlight, and a sudden release of meltwater from ice sheets, all contributing to the rapid cooling and ecological collapse. While the comet theory offers a tantalizingly comprehensive explanation for the entire Clovis enigma, it remains a subject of intense scientific debate. The evidence is complex, and some researchers argue that the markers attributed to an impact could have other, more terrestrial explanations, or that their concentrations are not consistent enough globally. However, the discussion it ignited has certainly broadened our perspective on the potential for catastrophic events to shape human history.
Yet, even as we grapple with the possible causes of the Clovis decline, another profound shift has occurred in our understanding of early American prehistory. For decades, the Clovis first model was gospel. They were the absolute earliest inhabitants. But new archaeological discoveries have irrevocably changed that narrative. Sites like Monte Verde in Chile, with evidence of human presence dating back over 14,500 years, conclusively proved that people were in the Americas before Clovis. Closer to home, sites such as Paisley Caves in Oregon, Buttermilk Creek in Texas, and even the recently discovered ancient human footprints at White Sands National Park in New Mexico, dating back some 21 to 2,300 years, all present irrefutable evidence of a pre-Clovis presence. What does this mean for our mystery? It profoundly shifts the question. The vanishing of the Clovis is no longer the vanishing of all humanity from the continent. Instead, it becomes the disappearance of a dominant, widespread, and technologically distinct culture. Perhaps the pre-Clovis populations, having adapted to the older, changing landscapes, were more resilient to the Younger Dryas event. Or perhaps they simply adopted different strategies, moving to new niches, while the specialized megafauna hunters of the Clovis culture faced an existential crisis. The unraveling of the Clovis first paradigm doesn't diminish the mystery of their disappearance. It deepens it, adding layers of complexity to an already captivating puzzle. So the question shifts, deepening the currents of mystery rather than resolving them. The vanishing of the Clovis becomes not the end of a continent's first human story, but a profound chapter within it. It reminds us that even the most dominant and technologically advanced cultures can face insurmountable challenges, whether from the turning of the climate, the changing of the prey, or perhaps a cosmic punctuation mark that reshaped the world. Imagine that solitary Clovis hunter once more, perhaps standing on a wind-swept plain, the air now carrying a different scent, the familiar outlines of the megafauna fading from the horizon. Did they see the inevitable unraveling of their way of life? Did they feel the subtle shift in the winds, the warming of the ice, the absence of the great beasts that had defined their existence? Perhaps they adapted, merging with other groups, or moving to new, unfamiliar territories where their distinctive spear points were no longer necessary, their unique cultural markers absorbed into the vast tapestry of ancient North American life. Their material culture may have vanished, but their essence, their spirit of ingenuity and resilience, undoubtedly endured.
Smooth, Stable Male Podcast. The story of the Clovis people is more than just an archaeological puzzle. It is a whisper from the deep past, a reminder of humanity's incredible journey across a dynamic and ever-changing planet. It speaks to the impermanence of even the most formidable cultures and the enduring mystery of our earliest ancestors. It leaves us with questions that echo through the millennia, prompting us to look not just at what we have found, but at what still lies hidden beneath the earth, waiting patiently for its story to be told. And perhaps that is the most captivating part of all. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the vanishing world of the Clovis people. If you found yourself captivated by this ancient mystery, please consider subscribing to Whispervale for more forgotten tales and historical enigmas. Your support helps us continue uncovering the whispers of the past. And if you're ready for another expedition into history, we invite you to explore our next video.